Diary of Scarlett Harris. The Dead Speak. Homepage. Diary of Scarlett Harris. When this diary leaves my hands, I will probably no longer be in this world. So if you are kind enough to find this diary, and if you can fully understand the language written in this diary, please deliver it to the following location. To Joshua Harris, 4X Winterville, Arkansas. I pray to the Lord that this record will not die even when I am in heaven. Inside cover. July 21, 1926. I am Scarlett Harris. Born April 3, 1902. Living in 4X Winterville, Arkansas. 5th year as an elementary school teacher. More than 100 dams on the Mississippi River broke due to intermittent heavy rains last week. The area around my house was inundated and flooded extensively. I lost the paddle of the kayak I took to evacuate in the stream, and I don't know how far downstream I was. It has been 2 days since the muddy water subsided and I walked up to the riverbank. Strangely, there are no private homes all around. There are no fields, no bridges, no towns, and nothing but virgin forests. I've been on the riverbank for the last 2 days and haven't met anyone. Probably I was broken. I write an emergency diary while praying for help from the state. From checking the physical condition. I didn't realize it at the time of the shipwreck, but I had a terrible burn on my right arm that I don't remember. No pain, no bleeding. I finished first aid with the disinfectant, ointment and bandages in the medical kit. Check your stuff. The emergency equipment I loaded into my practice kayak and what I quickly picked up from home. I sigh. This is my everything. The rest is a blank notebook with a calendar I'm journaling on. There seem to be 256 pages left. The anti-theft machine gun and the bullets my father slipped me a week ago. His instructions. Shotgun. As much as I enjoy it as a hobby, even if I don't get hit, I might be able to intimidate wild animals and thugs if I encounter them. Of course, be careful not to run into suspicious people who have no real combat experience. You also need to watch out for alligators. Encounters with alligators in the Mississippi River are commonplace, and they inhabit every lake. Of course, they are scary to encounter, but unlike Nile crocodiles, which are known cannibals, alligators are relatively docile and shy. If you don't bother to attack during the breeding season, you won't be attacked, and they are the target of the hunt. The only things scarier than the alligator are the swamp otter and the otter. As a resident of the Mississippi River Valley, this is the first familiar threat I learn, and it is also the subject I teach my elementary students. Derailed. The point is, if the distress lasts longer, don't waste your time. Nuts, chocolate, and 3 canned goods. There were 4, but I ate 1. 3 changes of clothes. Sleeping bag. Cash register. Pocket watch. Compass and map. Or radio. Fit. Knife. What's in your first aid kit? Surgical plaster. Alcohol. Absorbent cotton. The booklet What to Do in Case of Minor Aches and Pains and Real Emergencies is included in the first aid kit. There is no shortage of drinking water thanks to the constant rain. Keep in a container in case it stops raining. Survive a week without help. From here, the dazzling unknown world. It's like the adventures of Tom Sawyer. No, do not be afraid. All you have to do is enjoy camping outdoors for a while. The plane will find me tomorrow. All you have to do is watch out for pests and sleep in the open. Take it easy. My only regret is whether my family and students were successfully evacuated. July 25, 1926. I got the food I brought with me. Crayfish from the swamp are grilled over an open fire and shellfish are grilled and eaten. Nevertheless, this crab is not the so-called American crab that I often deal with in science class, and it is a species that I do not know. I caught it alive, so let's share the information as a new kind of newspaper when the rescue comes. Although I aim for ducks, my shooting skills are not good enough. I expect a search party to come by boat, so I didn't move much from the riverbank. Sleeping on the riverbank is a bit tentative because of the alligators. Lord, is this some kind of punishment? Take the bandage off the burn on your arm. July 28, 1926. Since the shipwreck, my radio has not received anything. I wonder if it is broken, but it is a simple structure. I have tried to fix it but still have not received it. Alternatively, transmitters may also be affected by the floods. The scar on my arm has turned into a big keloid. There are things I don't want to think about. The planes that flew so constantly before the disaster have not flown since. Even in the distant mountains, no private houses can be seen on the slopes. Is that possible? July 30, 1926. As I was aiming for a duck around noon, someone heard a shot and came. The joy and hope of meeting a human being for the first time in a few days is blown away. They all have bows and spears ready to shoot at you. He hides his machine gun and greets him kindly, but he doesn't speak English. Like people with their own language. His strange clothing makes it impossible to identify his race or culture. The indigenous peoples of North America do not look alike. I don't know much about things in South America, but is it a tribe that came north from South America? Believe it or not, it seems to be an isolated tribe that the United States does not understand. It is said that there are isolated tribes in the world that have not yet been discovered. I have read newspaper articles like that. While we distrust each other, we greet each other even though we do not understand each other's language. As I am unarmed, he unarmed me. Not a friendly tribe, just not attacking. Determined to be able to communicate. Led to their settlement and welcomed. Their cultural standards were not what I expected. In the middle of the forest, it has a semi-subterranean tent-like pit dwelling. I came across strange grains and potatoes. Still, I've never seen this potato before. While praying that it was not poisonous like alkaloids, I thanked the Lord for His grace and finished my meal. It's like sleeping in a tree at night. I thought it was a joke, but it really is a Tom Sawyer adventure. He seems interested in the burn on my arm and tries to touch me several times. August 2, 1926. It has been a while since I started living in the village. By living with them, my conviction grows stronger day by day. Here it is like America, but it is not. Here it's like being on Earth, but it's not. I don't know where I am anymore. I feel like Alice in Wonderland. However, the rabbit hole to return to the original world has not been found yet. I beg you, please stop dreaming. I am a wanderer who has been absorbed into her life and has no courage to leave. Because I have no idea what is going on outside this village. Every day I am exposed to a language and customs I don't understand, and the only things I encounter are unfamiliar plants and animals. Nevertheless, I have to survive. Gradually, I began to collect their languages to adapt to life here. There were not many variations of their language, and language adaptation seemed to work. August 26, 1926. As I live with them, I am gradually collecting their languages. See note on last page. The social hierarchy of this settlement is interesting. It is headed by a young woman, and everyone in the village obeys her word. The higher the rank in the village, the more decorative tattoos they have on their bodies. Is the chief in existence like a shrine maiden? It reminds of the animism and shamanism of the North Asian culture. There is a place like a kindergarten in the center of the village where children live in groups. Adults, both men and women, go hunting. The head is in a solid base, but it does not show much and is withdrawn. I have seen the long figure only a few times. Elderly people are not alone. Life expectancy is considered to be extremely short. In such harsh environments, infant mortality is likely to be high. 2 young children died during their stay. Please see the sketch below for the layout of the village. September 24, 1926. A village boy was murdered today. I attended the funeral, or rather the burial ceremony, and saw something amazing. Cho can bring the painting to life. Well, I'm not crazy. But I don't have the confidence to explain it in detail. I draw a diagram below. On the altar with the pattern, an animal sacrifice is offered, the body is placed, and when the chief recites something, the pattern on the altar becomes reality. For example, if one recites a pattern of repentance, the image jumps around in the real world. The children say that the chief moves the painting. The chief could also converse with the dead. People with many tattoos are said to be able to hear both the appearance and the voice of spirits. I thought it was some kind of trance state, but apparently not. I can't see anything, but hearing the voices of the dead is not wrong at all. Because the dead were giving information about the person who killed them. Conversations with the chief and the dead soon enabled him to find evidence of his killer. It looked as if he had been killed by another tribe. Looking at the spirit beliefs and types of rituals, there seem to be similarities to voodoo, but there is probably no connection. I am witnessing a miracle and my faith in the Lord is threatening to waver. All I can say is that this is not the earth. There are no planes flying in the sky anymore. They probably won't even receive radio waves. When can I go home? September 30th, 1926. There is very little work I can do here. I can't hunt, or rather, it's considered a hindrance to help cook. Sue the baby, such a place. I had a different role. I can treat the wounds of people in the settlement with simple medical kits. While repeating such days, I got to talk to Cho. The name of the chief is Maina. I heard her name for the first time today. Chief thinks I am from another world. Unfortunately, I think so too. Looking at the scar on my arm, I think I said Rudaleka. Chief tried to peel the Rudaleka off my arm, but it didn't work. When I told him it was just a scratch and could not be removed, he clicked his tongue. It looks like she really wants to peel my scars off my arm. I would be very grateful if I could do that. I have something called Rudaleka on my arm, so I was asked to learn the magic the chief used to communicate with the dead. He seemed to find something mystical about the scars on my arm. March 1st, 1927. I ran out of pencil leads, so I am practically write a journal with the red paint and twigs they use. A scar from a burn that appeared on my arm when I wandered into this mysterious world. It means the root of nothing or no root and is pronounced Rudaleka. A sign of a great sorcerer in their lore, and those who bear this sign seem to be able to use sorcery. Ancestral spirit mate, perhaps because there is no connection to them, they could not even use Rudaleka's powers to communicate with the dead. Instead, it seems to have been given a special power by Rudaleka. It is said to have the power to suppress floods and bring fruit back to the land. In particular, any amount of water could be dried up. It is tiring to be harassed by them and over a wide area. In some cases, they may not move until the next day. It is said that magic power decreases when magic is used, and when it is exhausted, it dies. But they expect me to use witchcraft. When I cast spells, Rudaleka emits a beautiful ruby-like glow. It's hard to describe. Or like when you burn a heavenly stone. To meet her expectations and not use up magic power, we will train to increase accuracy. Why did I come here with something like this? May 8, 1927. In the early hours of the morning, I was suddenly attacked in my sleep. They said it was the tribe that attacked the young people in the village last year. More than 100 people attacked. Addendum. According to later count, 280 people. Maina and the wizard's embodiment spell symbol spirit. Even when they fight back, they are killed one by one. Maina was killed first. I fight back with a machine gun. Shot at the feet of the attacker. With no bullets left, I was cornered and released Rudaleka's power in one direction. And then, I prayed that all the attackers would disappear. But that was my only wish. I destroyed the attackers, and in the direction I directed my power, several people from the village interfered. The body of the victim had been freed from its bodily fluids and had changed color as if jerky. On that day I became the leader of the village. July 1st, 1927. Since becoming the leader, I have expended much effort in maintaining peace and order in the village. Arkansas was generally safe, but here it is worse. After all, if you don't like the chief's politics, you can always attack him in his sleep and try to assassinate him. He has succeeded in winning the hearts and minds of children, and he has won the support of mothers, so I think at least he hasn't been slapped. Apart from Rutaleka, I also had knowledge that they didn't have, which was reason enough for them to let me live. I have never been so happy as a teacher. Recently, conflicts with surrounding tribes who want to eradicate the Miraka have increased dramatically. Due to the fact that the Chief Mena and the main wizards were killed in the previous battle, the defense is weak and they immediately launch an offensive. The machine guns are out of bullets, the number of people who can fight is greatly reduced, and the strength of the village is greatly reduced. The immediate task is to consolidate the village's defenses, educate them, polish up their spells and unite the village. He gathered people who were talented in sorcery, gave them combat training and organized a vigilante group. August 15, 1927. It seems that he is suffering from an epidemic. There are several people, mainly children, who have accumulated ascites. I am not a doctor, but I just read an article in a newspaper and I have my doubts. Schistosomiasis is caused by a parasitic infection. Schistosoma mansoni was discovered and described by Sir Patrick Manson over 10 years ago. After reading reports that the dreaded parasite lived in the West Indies, I panicked about going on vacation with my father to a Caribbean island. Schistosoma is transmitted through water, colonizes snails and can also infect humans. There should have been a report of infected people developing dermatitis on their skin, having fever and ascites, and eggs showing up in their feces. If I had a microscope, I might have been able to investigate, but I'm frustrated that I don't have one. There is no specific medication for this endemic disease yet. I have heard that some areas are filling up their habitats to cut off the polluted freshwater system due to the pollution of the freshwater in the region. If my guess is correct, Lake Titicaca, the largest freshwater lake in the region, is particularly dangerous. Fortunately, I have not yet developed symptoms, but it would not be strange to develop them at any time. As an absolute measure, it was forbidden to touch any fresh water on the ground for the time being. It was decided that only rainwater and spring water from underground caves with different water sources could be used for daily life. September 24, 1927. October 30, 1927. January 2, 1928. April 12, 1929. As the number of pages diminished, I wrote a diary in small letters, but it was finally the last page. Just the right way to finish the diary. The other day I learned a new lore from the characters carved into the grave. The destruction of the world cannot be undone until all aliens bearing the crest are banished. An alien is probably someone like me, stranded in this world. I'm tired of everything. I feel like my master has abandoned me and dropped me to the bottom of the earth. This world is closed, probably a fictional world cut off from space-time. I should not be here. Although I am loved by the people of the village here, I have no intention of leaving it to the end of the season. I just want to go home. Besides, the magic power remaining in my body seems to be almost exhausted. When that time comes, my raison d'etre in this country will be gone. You must fear the danger to yourself of being hanged in your sleep. I handed over the leadership to the successor and entrusted the rest. As for my achievements since I came to this place, made peace with 6 rival tribes and signed a truce. If there is one power that has helped me since I came to this land, not a machine gun, not even Rutaleka, it was the meager knowledge of the earth that I had packed into my brain, the wisdom of my great predecessors. This knowledge made me the chief of the area and allowed me to live and prosper with different tribes, and above all, I am a guest who is allowed to stay here and has the right to live. Now that I am recognized as the leader of the region, the Miraka tribe will not be attacked. When I am called by the Lord to this land to give them peace. At this stage, the mission can be considered complete. It is said that at the end of this cave, which they call Lakanga, there is an entrance to another world called the Vortex of Light. From now on, I will pass through this Rakanga. It looks like we don't have much time left. He also has schistosomes and suffers from persistent fever and nausea. He is also very tired and probably has multiple infections. I want to go back to the United States. That is all I would like to do. What is on the other side of the wall? You won't know unless you go inside. I hope I can go home tomorrow and have a Coke. Come on, let's go back to my nostalgic home. Falma closed the diary with a deep sigh. I didn't have time to read all 250-plus pages, but I got the gist. Lost in this other world while still living from Arkansas. She joined the Mairaka tribe, learned sorcery, harnessed the power of Rutaleka, used that knowledge to protect the settlement from schistosome contamination, and united several tribes. This is amazing, Mr. Harris. She was an elementary school teacher, and in that harsh environment, with no medicines or medical devices, she did all this with her early 20th century knowledge. The last date is October 17, 1929. It is the year of the Great Depression on Earth, and it is a week before Black Friday, but she does not know it. As Moline said, she died in the Likonga Cave. There is no way to know what happened at the end of Likonga Cave or if he saw the light vortex according to the legend, but from the situation where there was a body in the cave, what would happen after that? I couldn't go on, and lost his life there. Falma felt sorry for her after she ended her life in a foreign land. Since Falma came into this world, her suffering was something she had experienced. If I were in this world at the same time, how comforting that would have been. This diary will never be returned to the family in XXXXX Winterville, Arkansas. Since she left such detailed notes, I can catch a glimpse of her inner thoughts. I wonder if I shouldn't write a diary too. I have thought about that too. However, there is a rescue. Moline could not summon her spirit in the Likonga Cave. She may not have survived, but her soul may have been freed to return to the home she dreamed of. Don't let the clues she left behind go unused. At such thoughts, Falma gently put her hands together.